In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to teach you how to go from an international student to a permanent resident in New Zealand. Hi, I'm Sandy. I'm going to break this video down into 4 parts: domestic student visa, international fee-paying student visa, resident visa, and permanent resident visa. Let's get started. Alright, let's start off with domestic student visa. You guys must be wondering what the domestic part of the student visa is. So when I came into New Zealand, I was still only 15 years old. So I was under the age of 18, where I was still in my high school. So my mom was the full fee international fee paying student, and as a result of her doing level 8 postgraduate diploma, I got the domestic student visa. That allowed me to study in New Zealand in high school completely for free. There was no additional cost involved. So I got all the benefits of a domestic student, local domestic student going to school in New Zealand, and that was completely free of cost. So I grew up in Sri Lanka in a town called Gampaha, and I did my high school in an international college called Regent International College. And I was living with my family, my mom, dad, and my grandma. I was the only child of my family as well. So to give you a little bit of context, in Sri Lanka, university is the local universities. You need to be studying in a government school to get admission into local universities. If you are studying in an international college, you only have the ability to study in private universities. And there was not many options available in Sri Lanka. Hence the reason for choosing to study abroad. So choosing New Zealand was a bit of a unconventional option, because my mom had the chance to go to UK because she used to work for an international exporter. And then also we tried looking at options in Australia as well, because we had family over there. But I did a little bit of research, and I really fell in love with the idea of New Zealand and its nature and its adventures, and also just the green look that in New Zealand was promoting at that time. And I felt like it really resonated with me, and I wanted to explore that further, hence the reason of studying in New Zealand. So this was around 2013 when we first decided to move abroad to study. And me and my mom did quite a bit of research. We went to quite a bit of seminars as well to see what are the options available in New Zealand. And towards the end of 2014, we decided on a particular pathway that my mom was going to take. She did a postgraduate diploma in international business. That was a level 8 program, and that qualified all the requirements for me to get a domestic student visa. And 2015, May 9th, was the day that we came into New Zealand as a family, me, my mom, and dad. And we came through Singapore, and I think our journey was a pretty long one. It was around 15 to 16 hours. And that was my first time flying such a long journey as well. And we came into Christchurch in New Zealand, and then we decided to rent a car and drive from Christchurch the very first day that we were in New Zealand all the way to Nelson. And that was our first day in New Zealand. And it was a really nice long journey through the mountains, through seeing Mount Cook and all that. And it was in the middle of winter as well, so it was pretty cold. But yeah, it was a nice journey. And then we reached Nelson in the evening, and then we were too tired and we went to sleep after that. And the very second day, I had an interview with my college, Nelson Boys College, to see where I would fit in the year groups over here. I was 15 and a half years old. So I did my test. They got me to do an English test and a maths test to see where I fit in, and then decided that I had the option to go to year 12 because that was my age group, but I decided to take a year back because I needed to do my NCEAs and get all the credits required for NCEAs. So I decided to go into year 11, and that's how I started high school in New Zealand. There's quite a big difference studying in New Zealand versus studying in Sri Lanka. I would say the best way to explain it is the freedom that you get while studying in New Zealand. Also, less homework. Year 11, I was quite surprised that basically I had no homework for until I got towards almost the end of year 11. So that was quite a big surprise, because in Sri Lanka back there, we used to have homework every week or almost every day. So that was a big difference, and also the freedom that you got in classes in New Zealand, that you were quite self-directed in learning. So you're expected to follow whatever the teacher is saying, and then take learning at your own pace, rather than having a strict pace for each and every student like in Sri Lanka. So that was quite different. What do I miss studying in Sri Lanka? I think the time frames, where school started in Sri Lanka at 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning, and finished at 1:30. But in New Zealand, it was slightly different. It started at 8:30 and finished at 3 o'clock in the evening. So I think that time you kind of missed the afternoon over here in New Zealand. But then again, that really didn't make any difference, because New Zealand during the summer the sun is out till 9 o'clock in the evening. So, but I think that was the only difference that I felt that I missed while I was studying in New Zealand. But overall, out of the two, I would definitely choose studying in New Zealand over studying in Sri Lanka. I just felt that it fit me better as a person. When I first came into Nelson High School, I was probably the only Sri Lankan in Nelson High School. But towards my year 12, there was a couple other Sri Lankans who came and joined me as well. But yeah, so chess, right back when I was in Sri Lanka, probably around the age of 8 was when I started playing chess, and I grew into it quite a bit. I did quite a lot of international tournaments. I did national level chess championships in Sri Lanka, and then when I came back to New Zealand, and I figured out, there's chess is also quite a popular sport in New Zealand. So I joined my local chess club and my school club as well, and then we traveled quite a bit for chess. So New Zealand national championships and all that, and I think towards year 13 we actually became the second runner-up in all of New Zealand for chess, which was quite a proud achievement. So we got recognized for that in schools as well, where we used to get colors in our school coats. So that basically signifies that, you've gone to a national level championship, which is quite good and quite nice actually. We didn't have anything like that back in Sri Lanka, where you could recognition permanently etched on your clothes. So I'll put up a photo of me in my high school jacket, and I'll point out what that level 2 colors meant. When I started high school in year 11, I was thinking I want to pursue a career in medical pathways, like a doctor or a nurse. But throughout the high school, I enjoyed studying IT quite a bit, and I made quite good friends in IT classrooms as well. So I decided towards the end of year 13 that I would pursue a degree in Bachelor of Information Technology or Bachelor of Computer Science. It's like New Zealand is known for its agriculture market, and but during those days, at the end of high school, like around 2017, New Zealand was trying to show itself as a global leader in the IT market. So, and I decided that I would study in Wellington, but mainly because New Zealand's IT hub is known as Wellington. So that's when I decided I would choose Bachelor of Information Technology in Whitireia in Porirua in Wellington. After my domestic student visa and finishing high school off, I applied for my international student visa. I'll let you know how it's structured. So there's 3 terms per year in New Zealand. So the first term would be from January till March, and then you would have a 2-week break. It's called the midterm break. And during those breaks, you were allowed to work full time. And during the study periods, like from that term, from January to March, you would be allowed to work up to 20 hours per week. And there's also a long break called the summer vacation, basically from end of November all the way up to beginning of January, where you're allowed to work full time. and that's called the summer vacation. I really like cars and I'm quite passionate about cars. So what my goal was during my first year of uni was to save enough money to buy my first car. So I'll put a little picture of my first car. This was a BMW 3 Series, and I was always into BMWs since I was a kid, so I really wanted to get a BMW as my first car, and I achieved my dream towards the end of my first year in uni. I was quite focused on my degree because one of the reasons was the degree I was doing was quite intensive. There was quite a lot of assignments that I had to complete, so I had to focus quite a bit on my studies, but I managed to balance them quite well with working part-time and also working full-time during the summer vacations. I managed to save up enough to buy my first car, also to cover my living cost. The reason I'm saying that you need to, any international student who is coming into New Zealand, that you need to focus on your studies is that one is Immigration New Zealand will check your academic records and also your attendance records to make sure that you've been attending your classes. A second thing is that it makes life a little bit easier for you to get your next visa. So when you're doing your bachelor's, you don't actually get your full 3 years of your student visa. You actually do 1 year first, and then you apply for your second visa, and then you apply for the last visa. So during those days, and still today, there's 3 years of post-study work visa that you get. So leave all that work, the hustle for later, and focus on your studies. It's a step-by-step process in New Zealand. Once you move from one stage to another, that's how you actually that's how I think you can succeed in New Zealand. So in 2021 I finished my bachelor's and graduated, and I was looking for my first job. So it took around 3 to 4 weeks before I landed my first job. And while I think I applied for at least 10 to 15 roles before I landed my first job. So that's to give you a little bit of idea how long it took me to land my first job. And I faced my first interview, and then there was a second round of interview before they finally accepted me for my role. My role that I applied for was store compute technician or infrastructure engineer, for anyone who was interested. I think the reason why it's very important to blend into the Kiwi culture for an international student especially is to make those connections. New Zealand is a very small country. There's only 5 million people in New Zealand, and pretty much every third person knows another person that you know. Okay, so now we've covered domestic student visa, we've covered international fee-paying student visa, we've also covered the post-study work visa. So now we're going to move on to the resident visa and the permanent resident visa. So in New Zealand, there is a category called the skilled migrant category, and that basically gives you a set amount of points that you have to achieve, and then you can submit your expression of interest to apply for residency in New Zealand. So I met all the conditions that were required. For one of them was having a New Zealand learned degree. Second one was my work experience in New Zealand. The third one was living outside of Auckland. And the fourth one was that I had above the median wage that was required to apply for residency. And also the fifth one was the length of duration of my work. So after I've achieved my resident class visa, I waited up to 2 years before I can apply for my permanent residency. And now I've achieved my permanent residency, and I'm on my way to becoming a citizen of New Zealand. So this is my 10 years of living in New Zealand that I've shared with you. 3 key takeaways that I want you to take away from this video is: number one, study. As an international student, I realized pretty early on that study is very important to your success in New Zealand. Another thing is that you've made a promise to Immigration New Zealand that you're coming here to study. So make sure that you focus on your studies, achieve the required grades, achieve the required attendance. That will lead you to success in New Zealand. Number two is work with a professional. Working with a professional will give you that sense of security that you need to succeed in New Zealand. But I also took help from professionals like an immigration agent and a lawyer to make my journey a success. Number 3 is believe in yourself. This journey is not an easy journey. For any student coming into New Zealand, I want you to believe in yourself, because you will be the one who's going to pick yourself up when all the struggles and challenges come your way. Most of the time you will be alone. You probably wouldn't have your family. So you need to have faith in yourself to go through these struggles and challenges that you will come across your journey as a student in New Zealand. If you've completed your IELTS or PTE, you've secured enough funds to study abroad, and you're jumping up and down to get into New Zealand, we need to talk. Book a call with me in the link in the description below. Thank you for watching this video, and bye-bye.